Welcome to Helpful Humans, the podcast about people who are creating good in our world by helping and empowering others. I'm Kim Drobes, and I'm honored to share these stories with you. They get to the heart of who we are as human beings while exploring our inherent desire to make a difference.
There was one family, she said that she collects water off of the roof, and she has buckets everywhere where she knows that there's going to be drips so that they could flush the toilet. And she tries to collect water and then she'll boil it just so that they could wash themselves. And, we're all doing virtual school and stuff like that. So she has her grandchildren with her during the day. And it really just broke my heart just to see her having all these buckets collecting dirty water. It's just no way to live. And they just want to help as many people as they can, just try to go back to some form of normalcy. And that includes having basic life essentials such as running clean water.
That was Kisha Pinnock, wife of New Jersey master plumber Andrew Mitchell, and sister to Andrew's apprentice, Isaiah Pinnock. And of course, she is absolutely right. We all need clean water. Unfortunately, that basic need is still not being met for many Texans who got caught in the wake of February's winter storms. According to NBC, around 14 million Texans were without water at the peak of the disaster. And as of today, a full 3 weeks since the storm, that number is still over 300,000. Kisha, Andrew, and Isaiah happen to have family in Texas. So when they started to get firsthand reports of the devastation, Andrew, who has a deep love for plumbing and an even deeper desire to help people, was ready to jump into action.
Once I found out that the Texas mayor or governor, I think it was, say that other master plumbers can come down here and come and help the relief, I said I want to do it. And I asked Isaiah if he wanted to come with me, and he said we could leave tonight. And I'm like, yeah, with that energy, we definitely can make something happen.
Isaiah Pinnock, Andrew Mitchell's brother-in-law, is a student at Seton Hall University, and he was in his room studying when Andrew brought up the idea of traveling to Texas to help with the relief efforts.
When Andrew kind of brought the idea to me, he proposed it who would I be with all this skill sitting up here when he's talking to my brother-in-law and my sister that lives in Texas, and they're telling him how dire the need is for plumbers and how some of their family members were displaced and, people were going without water for weeks on end and plumbers were backed up for another 3 weeks on top of that. So with all of that information in mind, Andrew was like, who would I be to be here when they're struggling the way that they are down there? And I would have to say, Andrew, he's totally a plumber by passion beyond just being a plumber by trade. And, he heard the call and he was like, let's go, let's do it. And for me, I was just like, this is definitely a place where I could use myself and kind of make an impact. So it kind of just all added up.
Andrew's wife, Kisha, is a full-time lawyer, and she was a little taken aback when Andrew first mentioned packing up the family and heading across the country.
He told me early on in the week, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? It's not that I didn't want to come. I'm just thinking of logistically, this isn't feasible. We have business here. What do you mean? We have our family here, and he had his business in New Jersey. I had my law business and my clients and things like that. But then it wasn't until the weekend where, the craziness of the week dies down a little bit and you can kind of come up for air that said it again. And he was on the phone with my brother-in-law, Marcus, who lives in Houston. And he was telling him bro, I'm at Home Depot and this line is out the door around the corner. It is so crazy out here. And he was just telling him. And the more that we talked about it, the more it made sense.
So Andrew and Isaiah headed to their local hardware store and bought as many plumbing supplies as they could.
Andrew had an amazing grasp and foresight to see, what might be necessary. We came down here with about, around $2,000 worth of material. And, thank God that we did, because once we came down here and saw that, the lines at Home Depot were wrapping around the block and, everything was sold out. And even, in the worst circumstances, there was a fair amount of price gouging as well. So a copper pipe that typically is sold for $10 up in New Jersey is being sold for up to $66 down here. And that's from the warehouse. And, it's really, really tragic and devastating to hear how this price gouging is starting at the top of the supply chain at the warehouse level. And then, a lot of these plumbing companies have no option but to, bend to their will and kind of buy the supplies. And then that just gets compounded onto the customer at the end of the supply chain.
After the break, our generous Jersey family heads to Texas.
Hi, this is Sean, one of the producers here on Helpful Humans. If you're looking for more inspiring stories that highlight community and human connection, then check out our sister podcast, Rochambeau. Rochambeau is the podcast about the world's most unique competitions and the amazing competitors that make them happen. With stories that celebrate both the quirky and the crazy, including barstool ski racing, competitive air guitar, and the search for the world's ugliest dog, Rochambeau is really fun, lighthearted, and always interesting. That's Rochambeau, spelt Roshambo. Listen and subscribe today on your favorite podcast provider.
So with a car full of plumbing supplies and family, they were off. And with the addition of Andrew and Kisha's 2-year-old son, Blake, the 4 of them settled in for the 24-hour car ride.
So I had my wife with me, and she's like conducting the legal side of this and making sure all the proper paperwork is being handled. And also I had my 2-year-old son who helps me load the truck up.
Most of the ride was overnight, but it's not comfortable, like he's sitting in a car seat for hours. So he was a little cranky and we had to sing some songs and stuff like that.
Oh man, we were head, shoulders, knees and toes, ABCs, anything to keep Blake, at bay.
Like faster, faster. And then we got to sing it even faster. We got to Houston a little under 24 hours later. We initially came down thinking that we were going to help like a few close friends and family, and then maybe, a few neighbors here and there or something like that. But then it just really kind of snowballed into something so much bigger.
That snowball? Well, it came in the form of donations. When people heard that they were trying to help with the Texas relief effort, friends, family, and even strangers started sending them money.
It started from as soon as we got in the truck and started heading down.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so as soon as, my sister, she loves social media, and, posting that, we were on our way down to help in Texas, the donations kind of just started flowing in.
Everyone was moved and just excited and, wanted to help us help other people. So people were just beginning to send us money without us even asking. Like some of our friends who probably already had our cash tags or Venmos or whatever, they would just send us money.
And then once the news coverage kind of kicked in, it kind of started pouring in from all across the nation. We started getting checks popping up at our house from, Kentucky, Ohio, and North Carolina, stuff like that.
Some people are calling and emailing and they want to help us. And we're so thankful. But it's just that it was so many donations that I thought that it was best if we did not commingle the funds with our personal funds. And I thought that it could be even greater if we, number one, just create a whole new separate entity to put these funds into. So we created a nonprofit. It is called the Pinnock-Mitchell Texas Relief Foundation. And all the funds that we are receiving are going straight to that bank account. And this way, all the money can totally be accounted for, and it'll be very easy just to see what we have and, where we can use some of these funds to help some people who probably can't afford the repairs.
Since we have came up with this foundation, we have a list of people that we need to get back to so that we can give them some running water. You know what I mean?
Like for some people out here, their home insurance can cover their repairs, but then for others who are, not as fortunate, their home insurance has lapsed or their home insurance is being very picky with them and they said that it won't count, or some people just really don't even have the cash reserves to even pay for anything at all. And since we are out here with our feet on the ground and actually going into these homes and speaking to these people, we can make sure that the funds get channeled and in the hands of people who really need it.
Yeah, we service some families who, they have like toddlers, or it might be like a senior citizen who lives alone on fixed income and stuff of that sort. And these people, are in many circumstances, they don't see any relief in sight. They've been without water for 2 weeks going on to 3, and plumbers out here, their schedules are backed up for about another 2 to 3 weeks. So, when they give us a call and we tell them, we're going to put you at the top of the list if you don't have running water, and we are going to get your water back online despite, your financial situations and stuff like that. it brings tears to their eyes, and it just warms our soul.
Andrew and Isaiah have been at it nonstop since arriving in Texas, working nights and weekends just trying to make sure that everyone has water again.
There was one day where I swear they were about to go 48 hours with no sleep, and they were just acting like they weren't tired. But they were just telling me that every time they go to someone's home, like, number one, they are so just shocked to even see a plumber come to their door. So they're just so thankful just to see them even try to diagnose the problem. And even when they are able to actually help them, like, some of the clients are just moved to tears. And seeing that, they said that really, really, really puts a battery in their back.
So with batteries in their backs, Andrew and Isaiah have currently serviced over 100 homes, and they'll continue to help as long as they can. If you would like to donate to the Pinnock-Mitchell Texas Relief Foundation, head over to mitchellsplumbingandheating.com and click on the Texas Relief Efforts tab. Don't worry about writing it all down. We'll have links for you in this episode's description. Thanks to Andrew, Isaiah, and Kisha for sharing their stories with us. An extra special thanks to Master Plumber Andrew Mitchell for putting so much heart into his work.
Like, it's a passion. Like, I would do this stuff for free. That's how much I love it. I need to be able to give back to the community somehow, some way, because I know how much of a struggle it was for me, and I just want to motivate kids that grew up how I did, and like other options other than like going down the wrong path.
Thanks so much for sharing part of your day with us and for listening to this Helpful Humans episode. If you enjoy the podcast, please consider giving us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Theme music for Helpful Humans is provided by the amazing K. Michelle Dubois. Check out all of Michelle's latest offerings on her website at kmichelledubois.com. Follow us on Facebook at Helpful Humans Podcast, where you can see updates to stories that we've covered and perhaps suggest a story of your own. Thanks for listening.